Okay. The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Price.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ring the alarm once again, and this time it's for Women's History Month. In his concurrence in the Dobbs decision, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas clearly stated in his own words that the right to contraception is his next target. And as we've seen, with some on IVF, people will work to make good on their promises. But I want to remind the body and all of those watching today that the freedom some call for is imaginary if it does not include reproductive freedom. Reproductive health and freedom is a medical issue, an economic issue, a justice issue, and should be a personal issue. See, I'd be fine never talking about menstruation cycles on this floor.
Me too.
Not because it's something to be shameful of, and not because it's against decorum, but because at the very mention of menstruation, I have to see the visible sophomoric discomfort from people who probably couldn't even make it to level 4 on the menstrual cramp simulator. Imagine having to do double the work to prove you belong to be in a boardroom, in a courtroom, or even this room. And while you're doing that extra work, you're bleeding and cramping. And the only thing that helped you get out of the door in order to get to work was contraception, a drug or device, because of a serious health condition. That, Mr. Speaker, is the reality for many across our Commonwealth. And it needs to be stated that someone's religious beliefs or life's philosophies should be as personal as my menstrual cycle. And it should not get to interrupt what I need or what someone needs as an FDA-approved device or drug in order to go about their life. And that's how we got to the Virginia Right to Contraception Act. Some have called it a solution in search of a problem, but the problem is in print in that concurring opinion. And some states have jumped at the call to action, Mr. Speaker. They have triggered bounty laws going after healthcare providers, restricting IUDs and adding obstacles to some of the contraception that is literally available over the counter right now. And even in Michigan, Mr. Speaker, a state legislator called for lawmakers to consider banning hormonal birth control. But there are two things that I know that black women have taught me. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Maya Angelou. And the second is, your silence will not protect you. And that was Audre Lorde. Sometimes history seems so far away. And this is not enough. But some of y'all were alive before Griswold v. Connecticut, when it was illegal not just to distribute contraception, Mr. Speaker, to deliver information about contraception. And so that's why that decision was so important. And here we are yet again, some folks trying to take us back to 1964 or before. The significance of contraception in our lives cannot be overstated. It is a cornerstone of women's health, autonomy, and economic freedom. It enables us to make informed decisions about our bodies, our families, and our futures. Mr. Speaker, you've seen it. Recent polling data underscores a stark reality. The vast majority of Virginians and Americans support the right to contraception. This is not some niche issue. It's not a partisan issue. It is a universally held value across racial, generational, geographic, and political lines. The attack on contraception is an attack on our health, on our freedom, and our communities. It is an effort to roll back decades of progress in women's rights, particularly impacting black women and other marginalized communities who already face significant barriers to accessing health care. So, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, and as we honor Women's History Month, let us not forget that history is not just about looking back. It's about learning from the past to inform our actions today and tomorrow. Virginia's Right to Contraception Act is not just a piece of legislation. It is a declaration of our values, a commitment to health and freedom, and a call to action for all who believe in the fundamental right to make decisions about your own body. So in the face of all that is happening, I knew that my silence would not protect me. So I'm going to continue to be loud in ringing this alarm for this very real, very urgent, and very dangerous attack on women's bodies. And I urge all of you to refuse to be silent as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.